Nope, that's the wrong button. There's the right one. Live stream, start streaming. Hello, I'm ED-SKaR, and I'm doing another live stream on some 3D modeling parts for the Rapid Red. So let's have a look. Just as a kind of a catch-up for anyone watching this recorded, let's have a look at what we've made so far. I also have my other Rapid Red, my very first one here that I've done I've added some of these modeling parts to. So first of all, this is the tactical Pringle, or jam door for the Rapid Red, which of course is a rubbery pink plastic that's very hard to paint. So unless you're doing a pink build, isn't really very useful. And let's show that. Let's get some light on it somehow. There we go, it's a bit better. So that's in there. There we go, that's a good shot. So the tactical Pringle there in the blue that matches the blue that I've done the rest of this particular one in. I also have one in purple for the build I've got in front of me. There we go. This was the prototype version, which doesn't actually have a thumb tab at the top. I might print one out and glue it on separately, or I might just leave it without. Doesn't really matter. But that seemed to come out pretty well, actually, to the point where I don't think I need to modify that anymore. It's not perfect, but any modification I make to this will be in altering like complex curves, and that's just far too difficult to be dealing with. Let's get some music on. There we go. So that can stay where it is. Next up, the magazine catch, which I have one on the purple one. There we go. So it's kind of a classic extended magazine catch for like Strike, Rapid Strike. It's the same kind of thing, but this one's for the Rapid Red. Now if we look at it from this angle, there we go. You can kind of see that that's really very skinny and yeah, not great. Yo, what's up, RZ Rider? How you doing? There you go, I said your name right this time. Or wrong. Yep, so what I'm going to do with the magazine catch is I'm just going to make an alternate version of it to make it a little bit thicker, because as I mentioned on the original one, it's a little bit thin. So we made it right, yes, for varying definitions of the word right. So it ended up being just over 6 mil after printing, and we've got just over 10 mil to play with. So I could extend it by 4 millimeters and it would still fit. I don't think I really need to be, I don't need it that big. So what I will likely do is extend it by, let's just say 1.5 on each side. Right, this is a point where these curves here don't like being moved. So 1.5. Oh, that was fine, that worked. 0.5. I'm surprised by how well, what's this? Where did this come from? Can I just... Yes, okay, good. Right, that's cleared that one out. Okay, I think that's all I needed to do for that, because it works. Oh yeah, I did want to just give that a little bit so that it gives the screw head a little bit extra clearance, but that just needed... Did I put 0.5? Yeah, it doesn't need to be that much, 0.25. Really just a tiny little bit so that the filament doesn't end up inside the hole on the last layer. Yeah, I think we're done there. So I can save that. And save as STL. So I can move on from that. It keeps wanting to come here. All right. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Spamatron wanted the magazine. Well, I've dropped it on the floor now. Was it extended magazine well, just to help speed reload magazines? More to look cool than that, but whatever. All right, I'm just going to hold one on place to show you what I did wrong when designing this. We'll see if I can get good light on it so that we can actually see. Can we see that? Just about. So what I did was I took the shape of the hole for the magazine and I copied that for the inside, as you see on the main part of the screen, the 3D model there. That is, the inside shape of that is the shape for the magazine well, and you can see as it's printed out, it sort of quite nicely matches actually the shape of the magazine well. Unfortunately, if I grab a magazine, I will show you my mistake. Because this part of the magazine goes into the magazine well, and this part of the magazine matches the shape that I created. However, this lip here is what's called an over-insertion lip, and prevents the magazine, surprisingly given its name, from being inserted too far into the magwell. Make sure it sits at the right height. And this is obviously wider than the body of the magazine, and so when it's inserted into the magazine, it overlaps, which means that the extended magazine well that I made, which needs to sit below that level, can't actually pass it. So I glued it on. I glued the original print, I glued it on and tested out some magazines, and you could kind of hook the front of the magazine and slide it in, and it would get to about that far, and it would stop because it's got bits of plastic in the way. However, thankfully, that's an easy fix. Because all I need to do, I need to actually measure up for me. Is measure how wide that lip is, and it looks to be the same distance all the way around, so it's 1.7, 1.8, 1.8. Let's measure at the back just to see. Yeah, it looks like it's kind of roughly 1.8-ish all the way around. It's kind of slightly smaller at the very front because it's, well, this is never going to come on camera, but that surface is not perfectly flat. It's slightly slightly angled on each surface, so it's kind of a chevron shape. I can't see that on my tiny view. But if I make it 1.8, yeah, let's just make it 2 millimeters all the way around, and then it should quite nicely work. So let's take these and go 2 mil, and make sure they extend over the edge. Do the same over here. Yes, I do it correctly. There we go. Now I should be able to just. Oh, no. I have the right part selected first. There we go. So just cut those bits away, and that will now, hopefully, fit correctly. Let's see if I can fix some of these. Is that shelf? Just make that 5. Didn't like that. Let's make it 5 from there. That works. Actually, inside. And then probably the front as well. Is that 2? That is 2. Let's give it off of. Let's do it off of. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's enough. That got carried away. Let's even that up as well. Yeah, that looks good. Close enough, really. So another thing to note is the top surface, the actual, for aesthetics, or actually I just need this. For the aesthetics of things. When it's in place and it's fitted, the top surface there, it just looks too much like a flat line. And it's kind of part of how it ends up being printed. But I want to see if I can extend it up and make it a little more kind of curvy. So there are actually curves on that surface, it's just that because that's touching the print bed and the curves are quite small, they sort of disappear. Stupid handle won't show. This one? What? I don't understand. So let's see if I can bring this up without horribly causing problems. Actually can bring it up quite a bit. And that curves everything up quite nicely. So hopefully that should look a little nicer. Ah, you're designing something as well. Oh, you see, the grip extension, like to make a bigger grip, is almost a required for the Rapid Red because of how small the grip is. Unfortunately, it involves not just one; it involves several compound curves, and that's a lot of either very precise measuring and maths, or an awful lot of trial and error and printing and printing and printing and changing and printing again and changing and printing again. This particular one is not getting a grip extension, so I won't be making it on stream. At some point, I may be convinced to make one. Yeah. Like, to try and put it into perspective for anyone watching the stream who doesn't already understand, if I was to model this pot, it would be very easy to do. I would take the diameter of the circle and I would make a circle of that diameter, because that is a single function, a single curve. To make this curve at the back of the grip, I need to know the radius here, but then the radius changes and this actually curls the other way, so I need to also know the radius here. And I need to also know the radius here and here and here. So I need to get the radius of every single point along this line, which is not a single function. That's now realistically 20 or 30 functions to get that correct. But then unlike the pot, which is just a line upwards to make a cylinder, this then has in this direction another curve. And that's a different curve from what you've already calculated. So that makes that 20 to 30 piece curve function, 20 to 30 function curve, that now becomes 200 or 300. By the time you've moved this shape around this curve, and also all of the rest of it, it becomes hundreds of functions. And hence, complex curves. So, yeah, I might make something... The easy way to do it would be to just make your own grip with a flat inside that you glue onto the outside of this. That's the easiest way of doing it. It wouldn't look as good, and it wouldn't look very rapid red. It would kind of, you'd lose some of the aesthetics, but that's kind of the best way to do that. Shh, don't tempt me. I mean, if I was going to do that, I would just like separate the upper and lower pieces of the shell, and then just kind of recreate this bit, because the joining of the shell, it's actually a lot of straight lines. Let's see if I can. I need to be able to point as well. So that's a straight line, and then there's a little bit of a curve there, and then that's a straight line and a curve, and that's a straight line and a curve. And then the profile from the edge is just a 45-degree straight line. So this is actually much easier to model, like the joining of the two pieces, and then you recreate the bottom to match whatever you want it to. That's even much easier. So it's much easier to do this whole thing than to just create a grip. Welcome to 3D modeling. And then, of course, by the time you've done that, you may as well redesign the upper as well and just have everything fit together nicely. And yeah, at that point, you can pull the Alice and you've done the whole thing from scratch. Because hey, what a Hasbro know, right? I mean, they're not the worst engineers in the hobby by a long way, but certainly not the best. Right, are we done here? I think we're done here. With that change at the top, this becomes very difficult to print on that surface. So either it gets printed this way up with just these small surfaces touching the print bed, or you print it the same way up, but then, sorry, the other way up. So with this curve touching the print bed, but then you just end up with loads of support material on the inside. I mean, I'd be tempted to actually raise it off of the print bed and have support material around here as well, because it's easier to have a lot of stuff touching the print bed to get a good print and then clean up the print material than it is to not have enough stuff touching the print bed and then to have a failed print. But I don't really like either way. It's either that or split it down the middle and have a 4-part print instead of 2. I don't like that either. No, I'm not doing that. That's not great. Of course you can't. Nope, forget that. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Maybe just a little. I'll have to put this away because I'm just going to start filleting and chamfering stuff. Right, that's it. That's done. Save it. Walk away. Okay, next piece. The muzzle. That piece is fine. In fact, on both of the Rapid Reds, they've now got this version of it, and it fits and it works fine. It doesn't really interact with much. The inside has to hold on to the barrel tube, and then the outside holds on to the flash hider, but both of those parts are glued on. Here's the original flash hider design on the blue one. they're just glued in place. So yeah, I don't need to move that at all. Right, rev button. Oh, good grief, the lighting in here is terrible. There we go. So that's the version of the rev button I made, and it works really well. It's nice and comfortable, and it kind of doesn't really need any like serious modification. But what I do want to do is extend this surface back a little bit. Not that much. Yeah, not about that much. Can I move this? No, obviously I can't. Sort of that's enough. And then also this by the tiniest amount, yeah, just to ensure that that it fully pushes the button, because I was having a little bit of a problem. There we go. It was just a little bit of a problem with it pushing and getting caught on the point of the button. So a little bit of extra material means that if it becomes a problem, you can sand it down, and yeah, and it doesn't become a problem anymore. Otherwise, the rest of that seemed to work really well, and it's nice and comfortable. Yeah, nighttime. Thanks, winter, for being dark. So it doesn't fully cover my middle finger, but it also doesn't come anywhere near to touching the next finger along, which is the one thing I don't like about some of the overextended mag release rev buttons. They touch your ring finger, and it just becomes annoying. So that's that part done. So let's save as STL and RSdoc. And move on. So the trigger, I've actually redesigned this already. Good question. Now, I haven't held the Nerf Jupiter before, so I can't actually say much about it in terms of the ergonomics. Given how tall the trigger is, the rev button is still shorter than the trigger, so I don't think that would be much of a problem. But also the fact that there's nothing underneath it and this is angled back means that your ring finger will be back here and not out front getting jabbed by that, so I don't think that would be a problem. But like I said, I haven't actually held it, so I cannot confirm or deny. I cannot confirm or deny any rumours that may or may not have been made. It seems like a good design is what I'm trying to get at. Anyway, the trigger here, I've already redesigned this. I've changed the tolerances so that it does actually work quite well. Because my blue one has the second version of the trigger. I guess this is the only way to show it. Can I hold it out here and get I guess. So this purple one is the first version that, and then I changed the tolerances up and made it for this. So I printed it again for that. So works really nicely. I actually used this one at the caves last weekend. Yeah, I really like it. The yeah, just the grip of the Rapid Red is too small. Otherwise, that length of stock is perfect for me, and yeah, the trigger and all the other bits work really well. That doesn't have the extended mag release or rev button though, because they come blue, and I'm fine with that being blue because the whole thing goes blue. And blue. Blue. So yeah, I don't need to modify that at all. Ah, the wire holders. Yeah, they worked fine. Can we see in there? Okay, the wires are blue, but the wire holder is purple and the shell is purple, so I'm not sure if you can see it, but it works. Let's see if I can see this one. They hold wires in place. It wasn't difficult to do that. I did have trouble with the front one. Like as I was trying to screw in the screw, the whole thing would rotate slightly. So I've added this extra extension, but that's going to snap off almost immediately. There's no way that that's going to stop. I keep slouching. I'm going to just adjust the cameras. There you go. But yeah, that doesn't need any further modification. In fact, I might even just pull that off because that's so thin. It's not going to help. It's not going to help at all. And I can't even be bothered to save that because it's really no problem here. Right, this on the other hand is an empty file because I need to make something new. And that would be that, which is almost certainly not going to show up because it's tiny. Any guesses at all what this is? I mean, the fact that it says on my screen that the name of the, you can see it. You see it there. That's what it is. Because I planned this in advance. This is, of course, the rail tooth for the Nerf tactical rail, and it's blue. But if you wanted to paint it and then you start putting on scopes or whatever, you end up ruining the paint. And I guess you'd ruin the paint of the rail before you'd ruin this, but yeah, just in case, you can print this in a different color material. The other advantage is that you can print this in a translucent material and put an LED under it and have light shining through there. That's another reason to have lots and lots of basically every component can be see-through if you want to print it in a translucent or see-through material. Calipers. There you are. Anyway, this is going to be a really, really simple piece of print, so I'm just going to get on with it. So it's 9.5 by 16.5. And 1.5. I'm assuming these ends are going to be 1.5 as well. No, they're 2.5. And they both are. Now there is an extra... I'm going to try and show this because it's to teach as well as do, but I'm not sure if this is ever going to be able to ever going to show up on this camera. Let's move it as close to the light as I can get it. So inside the recess for the rail tooth, there is this tiny little peg. So that there is this extra little ridge on the inside, and it runs all the way to the edge. Yes, it's a retention for that. And so it obviously goes in that. No, it doesn't fit that way around. It goes in the other way around, like that. At which point, that little rail on the inside of the shell doesn't touch anything, and the little rail on the inside of the tooth doesn't touch anything. I have no idea why they're there. They serve no structural purpose, and the piece doesn't move, so I'm just going to not bother modelling them. I spent longer explaining that than it would have taken to just make it. It wouldn't be me if I wasn't waffling on, right? Now here at the top is where things get interesting. Why I love interesting. I'm going to bring this in by 2mm on each edge. And then pull the whole thing up. Okay. So the front high. So I'm going to go here 1mm and make a mark. And from here 4. From the back surface, it has a very, very steep angle. That comes in just by, looks like 2mm to the bottom. That surface isn't as important because the accessory should not go that back that far. The notch on the the tooth on the accessory should only come back this far. It shouldn't go behind here. But if it does, then it's going to be solidly locked in place. And then in the middle here we have just a recess that's 2mm. And how deep is it? I think I already mentioned this to you. Did. So I can just pull all that through. And that gets me basically the shape I wanted. Yeah. Make that a bit stronger there. Yeah, that was about as difficult as I expected it to be. Sort of spangled in here as well. Let's give it a chamfer of 0.5. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, so that's that done. That was difficult. Alright, now we can finally get on with the real point of the stream today, and that's this. Although that's been moved to a separate file, so I don't need that anymore. I'm just going to create a new mesh up here. Because we've got the extended battery door and the muzzle to kind of cover up the hooks that the battery door lock into, but we haven't actually done the battery door itself. And because this is the kind of blue plastic that doesn't really paint very well, I'm going to create a new version of this so that if you're changing the colour of everything else, you can change the colour of this as well. And it shouldn't be too hard, it says. Dangerous. So you go 32 wide and 32 by 40. Should overhang the bottom. That's interesting. Hold on a second. So if that's 32 and that's 32, how come they don't line up? I mean, granted, everyone's shifted to the side, but did I even make that 32? I'm slightly worried that that's so much wider. I'll go back and fix it in a bit. I'll fix it eventually. It is supposed to be 32. It is supposed to be 32. Good. Next step is to, I guess, pull it here by 10. Yeah, that whole lot is on that step. Now there's a lot of cutout at the bottom where it overhangs the battery door. Probably because on the original shell. Yeah, so on the original shell there's a little bit of a bulkhead here. I'm not sure if you can see that very well, but it extends out below the line of the battery. Very much. Yeah, sort of not really. So I'll actually leave that as it is. So I do need to put in the screw hole and the tabs at the top. Let's get the tabs first there. Probably the easiest thing to do. As that conveniently giving me a nice center line. Tabs, excellent. So far apart from there, I can work through the middle. space like that, but they can't. I would have just made that 5 by 5 by 5. No, because that's a 5 by 5. Hey! Nerf jokes, lol. Never mind. No one in the chat's laughing, so I assume. Either that, or I'll just assume that the joke wasn't funny. That's probably a safer bet. There we go. That's the pegs for those in place. It should hopefully line up with those holes there. Oh, I didn't even measure that bit. Thankfully, that's an easy fix. That's better. So I put that line in as a build line, and then I assumed that I'd measured it when I hadn't. .2 millimeter hole. So that one gets pulled all the way through. The artifacts of things, whatever. So there is so we've got fillets around the corner, all 4 corners. We also have the front of this is at an angle. So what bit do I build first? I think I built corners and then cut out the front corners. Radius of these is, which is never that easy to do with calipers. I'll say 16. Looks like 8 millimeters in each bit. Yeah, that's clearly wrong. Ah, now 8 looks perfectly correct. And the fact that it just comes through the I'm not sure if it is 8. Let's make it 7 and see. hope this isn't a complex curve, because that would suck. I think I've mentioned just how difficult complex curves are already on the stream, so I won't mention it again. Now that looks exactly the same. Yeah, that's right. But if that's 6, why was I measuring it at 8? Am I just that bad at measuring? Oh, it's because the top is sloped. Hasbro just can't get away with just flat lines. Flat lines, please. Flat lines are absolutely fine. Thank you. There we go, much nicer. Ah, looks like it might even fit. Right, next step is the bottom corners, which are... I'm not sure if this is considered a complex curve or not, but there's a lot of curves involved in a very small area. I'm hoping these are just... Let's assume they are, and get on and build it. It's like 4. Looks as right as it's going to be. Right, now let's build the front. Out does that come at there? So it's 11 millimeters here. And then that's probably just the best places to measure it. I see, now there I get 12 instead of 11. Why am I so bad at measuring? That also doesn't look right. That's still too shallow. 12 there. That now looks a lot steeper. I don't wonder if that's any different from the first one from that second one. Oh no. No, that's correct. That's not where I am. Alright, in which case this is wrong. Except it isn't. That is definitely 5 mil. That is as 5 mil as 5 mil can be. Fine, whatever. I'm not going to argue with it anymore. I've got the right line now, but I've got something wrong somewhere that's causing a problem, but I can't work out where it is. I'm not convinced anyway. So let's get this round at the bottom. I'm not convinced it's a circle. I hate it when it's not circles. However, what I can do, because I don't need this to actually fit. Actually, no, it would fit anyway. It would just hang out a tiny bit at the front, so I don't think it's actually that much of a problem. Yeah, I'm going to cheat. Oh yeah, that looks right. That looks very right. Oh, I know why I was having difficulty with that bit. It's because the bottom surface is sloped as well. Because of course it is. For no reason whatsoever. Yeah, that looks right. So now let's get it. See if I can get this fixed. See, obviously my tolerances are too tight because that's nearly touching. There's overlap there. otherwise, see if it comes down to there. Also, that bit's wrong. How enclosed do I want it? Very much at all. Given that that's 0.2 of a millimeter. Still overlapping. Why are you still overlapping? I just messaged you to surfaces one by one and everything else that's wrong is showing up. That needs to go wide 0.2. This needs to go wide another 0.5. Oh, actually. Yeah, I didn't notice that. Get rid of that entirely. And then pull this by. Really? Why not? Oh. Hello, Homely. How are you doing? A new version, given that we're well away from the previous iterations of this. Actually didn't bring a drink up with me. Whoops. Doesn't look that good yet. I'm still just trying to make it fit. I'll work on aesthetics as best I can later on. As soon as it works, as soon as it works, then I'll worry about making it look good. Just enough clearance for that. So next thing to do is I really need to make this actually line up. So let's work out what my offset is. So it's 0.27 to 0.23. 0.04 millimeters off, so I need to move it by 0.02. That way. And now it should be perfectly aligned at 0.05, 0.05. And then these should also match 0.05, 0.05. Sorry, 0.25. I'm literally reading off of a screen and I'm still saying it wrong. Strangely enough, here there is clearance of 0.1, and here there is that exactly touching? That is exactly touching. Interesting. And I'm in this situation once again that I'm constantly in with this program, that I have done the same thing on both sides, and yet they're different. That line doesn't exist on this side, and these are different. But I have done the same process on both sides throughout this entire thing. I'm almost tempted to build one half and then mirror it and join it together that way. See, Fusion 360 can do that natively, whereas this, you have to kind of mangle it to get it to do what you want. So let's put it back into place. Go. So this surface is still not quite right. Not quite right. If anyone knows where that is from, good grief, that's not quite right. There's a reference for you. May have been a bit excessive, but sure, why not? How much space is there here now? Okay, let's bring this up by 0.2. There we go, that's a little better. There's an easy way of doing this. Oh no. So apparently that joined these parts together when I... Where's it? So it's touching somewhere else. But where are you touching? You should be touching here. And that was 0.4, I think. This is the extended battery door for the Rapid Red. So this is stuff I built in the very first stream. This is part 4. Great. But I wasn't confident in the front of this. I wasn't confident that it would actually fit the original battery door, have one of. So to make it to make sure that this fit, I've actually modelled the battery door again, or rather I've modelled the original battery door into the software, which means that if you wanted a different colour battery door as well as all the rest of it, you can. If you include painting the 4 pieces of the shell, upper and lower, left and right, and the front sling loop, they're the only pieces I haven't made so far, other than switches and I guess the pusher arm. I don't need to make a new pusher arm, I think. Actually, if I was going to use half darts, then yeah, I should make a half dart pusher arm. or a hybrid pusher arm. We'll see. But I want to get this battery door finished, because this, the battery door is all it needs to finish this off. Battery door? Not battery door, battery compartment is the only thing that's needed to finish this off. So, this piece here. Therefore, the next step is to is there a malice cage for the Rapid Red? Gee, I wonder. Is there a malice cage for the Rapid Red? So not only is there a malice cage for the Rapid Red, but this is the first flywheel cage that I've painted. So I painted the logo in purple and the rest of the front of the cage blue, so that it shines through. And I've also used, you'll probably have noticed, blue wires throughout, because while I'm printing all of the extra pieces in purple, I'm keeping some of the blue. So I'm not painting this, so I'm actually keeping the blue wings on the side, and I'm keeping the blue front sling loop. And this one will keep the blue battery door, although I have made the battery door, so you can make that a different colour. But that's what it will look like when it's complete. And I'll be putting the one of these, the motor covers with a window on, so you can see it. The lighting in this room is not ideal for, I was about to say for streaming, but it's not ideal for anything, really. That's why I spend very little of my time in here if I'm not actually staring at the screen. Speaking of staring at a screen, I've got Derpy staring back at me there. Getting distracted. What was I doing? I have no idea what I was doing. Ah, I remember what I was doing. Right. I need to make the screw hole. Yeah, I just need to make a screw hole. Yes, absolutely. That's definitely a thing that I need to be getting on with, and totally not a massive drain on my resources. Good thing I only have one long shot, thankfully. So no chance of that. So if I pull that by 8 to get to there, and then if I also draw a squiggle here. Let's see if that works even remotely. I'm going to save before I do this, because this has the opportunity of going horribly wrong. Well, it worked. Sort of. It's not quite what I wanted. Let's try that again with a simple curve. Just that. Better. Yeah, I can go with that. Right, I need to get rid of this bit. So I also need to work out a way of getting the nut into here, because the way that the on the screw there is a nut, and this is the nut from the original Rapid Red battery tray, which I seem to have lost. I cut out the nut so that I could measure it up. So if you're going to use this kit, you can use the existing nut and not have to worry about sourcing any hardware at all. Yeah, this is all just any of the parts that I'm building, it's just print it and replace the original with it. This is the most difficult bit because you have to cut out the nut. I'm tempted to make a slot on the inside here, cut it down, build up on the outside around it so that it has that place to sit. And then you just have to kind of slide it in and glue it in place. Yeah, that's not necessarily the best idea, but that's what I've got. Either that or I made a separate piece here. So just a slot outlet here. That may be the better option. How many pieces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so many pieces that you end up having to print. Everything is separate. Yeah, I think I'm going to end up doing that. So there will be you'll print the main body of the battery compartment extension, and there will be a hex hole here that you slot in you just press fit the nut into, and then there'll be kind of this kind of bit will be a separate print that will glue onto place on top, and that will hold your nut in place. Yeah, I guess that's sort of how it's going to be. So what I actually need is a circle that is quite a bit bigger than that. Okay, so before I go any further, let's draw this out to 8. That's not the map, is it? Nope. So what do we think of that? That's an idea. So this piece gets printed as it is. You slot the nut in there. This piece is separate that you print off and then glue it on top to hold it in place. That will hold the nut in place. Although it's open at the top, that's not really an issue. I'm going to make some locating surfaces on the outside of here. That's going to be a good idea. Springs specifically for homemates. I really don't work on springers all that much. And I certainly I've never built a homemade springer. So it often becomes a case of because a lot of what you can build relies on what you can't build. So building the spring is very difficult. You can make springs, because obviously springs can be made, but to make one at home is quite difficult. But it can be done. And so, because of the difficulty of making springs in other parts, the rest of your build becomes a case of designing what you can make around what you can't make. So yeah, finding the right spring is kind of important. It's kind of the same with flywheelers. You can't really easily build a motor at home. It's not like you can just grab some EVA foam and knock up a motor. How have I done that? What even are you? Where did you come from? Another thing related to that subject is that I live in the metric lands of the rest of the world, and K26 is quite specifically an imperial design spring. So K26, or an equivalent of K26, doesn't exist over here. So we would need to find a similar spring. It's why all of the Caliburns over this side of the pond are built with slugs parts kits. Like, we can do the printing over here, that's no problem. We can convert the STLs to metric, but we can't find the appropriate spring. About slotting that one. And then battery door goes on and screws into place, and you end up with quite a bit of overhang on this because, yeah, I could probably hide some of that. In fact, I could probably hide most of that. What do we think? What's this kind of underbite? Do we want to get rid of that? I want to get rid of that. Is that an air horn in this song? Good grief. Yeah, it is. So what angle did this line end up as? 12.8 degrees. Very well. Oh, I know why. Okay. Because I drew the line through that, and so it was going both ways down the line. If I start the line there, now, hopefully. There we go. Okay. So I worked out that little kerfuffle. did you? Right. This is just more difficult than it has any right to be, but yes. So from here, actually I should put that all the way up here. Yes. Seriously? Do you not exist on this plane? That's better. This is getting more and more busy. So many different facets going on here. It's just kind of a bit much. Should be is nice big gentle curves. Yep, that works. The heck is this? The heck is this? Why do you exist? And again, with this, why do you exist? Why is there a step here? This is the point of the live stream where I give up. There's just so many. Right, so where is it? It's here. No, I need to look at this from the side. So it looks like that needs to come and join that. I hope. I hope that's right. I can drag you like up to and past 2.5, but if I say 2.5, you won't do it. Yeah, I can't explain why these features exist, why they're different. I'm sure I built this the same all the way through, but it just doesn't like it sometimes. Are we done? That's functional, I think. wonder if that's a good idea. Maybe. I mean, that can be kind of quite heavily glued if needs be, so it's not too much of a problem, but just a little bit of extra surface area might help. Let's bring it back and make sure it looks right. It really doesn't, does it? So what's that? That's 8 mil. So this should be a bit better. Yeah, that'll fit much nicer into place. Yeah, that's good. Leaving surfaces all over the place as I build stuff. All of that. Just artifacts of how I've built it. Okay. That's interesting. Right, so that point now doesn't have anything. At some point I must have clicked in the wrong place and ended up with a second center point for these circles. Because of course I did somewhere. Ruined everything. Right. Let's move that to somewhere where it's actually going to print. obnoxious 75.982. Well, that's clearly not right. Seriously? Am I measuring wrong? 0.486. This part. Minus 0.486. And it's still wrong. Okay, that's an insignificant difference in size. Hopefully that won't screw up the print. Anyway, it can be in there when it prints. There's no reason for it not to be. 97.063. See, that worked first time. Those bits can print, and that will go into separate files, and that will print separately. I think, overall, that's sort of done. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get any better with that section. I'm not sure I like it, it's just how it suddenly just gets wider. I want to make that a nice curve, but yeah, maybe that's not going to happen. I'm not convinced. I guess I don't have to be. Anyway, I think that is ready for a test print. I need to separate that to a separate file. I'll do that just before I print it, so don't have to worry about it now. Any questions from anyone on the stream before I close up and go and do something less straining on the eyes? What are you from? Why do you exist? sure I've tried this before to get rid of this. Although now this is not going to play happy at all. Oh, actually. Come on. Come on. And I've crashed it. Great. Has it? Nope, it hasn't actually. Nearly, but not quite. Not quite. All right, I'll just not save those things. Okay, so my music stopped as well. I'm kind of done. So thank you everyone for watching. I will hopefully get these parts printed out soon and tested. And the next you'll see of this Rapid Red is probably going to be my video on it rather than in the next live stream. Hopefully, unless this turns out to be an utter failure, in which case you'll see another live stream of me comparing what prints to fix it. Otherwise, I'm ED-SKaR, I always have been, and thank you everyone for watching.